Let's begin. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Podcast76. I'm Ruskeydoo.
And I'm Grey.
And we're recording at a very silly time. We know there's going to be a load of information dropping tomorrow, but because lives and coinciding and, everything else that happens in existence, we can't record till Monday if we wait for that. So we're just going to miss it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because, suck it.
Yeah. You. I guess we can do a bit of speculation.
Oh, because it's the video, isn't it? That we're going to miss.
It's the video
tomorrow.
that we're going to miss.
The short.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In fact, that was one of our items in the summary. They're the shortest tomorrow.
Yep.
Well, we can take that one right off now.
Remove it. Delete it. Go. Goodbye.
No, it's fine. We can leave it there. It's just... Anyway, what has happened this week? There has been a teeny tiny little update. Doomfist's right click has been nerfed on the PTR. We are introducing Junkertown. There is Forum Guff. There is When It Is Short, or there isn't now because we've just covered that. There is Mercy Changes, and there is Seagull with Scott Mercer.
The Mercy Changes is kind of in with Seagull with Scott
They're
Mercer.
kind of in with they're the same thing, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
But I put it as a separate thing, just for you, Grey.
Oh,
just for you, because I know that's a thing that you're really
passionate about.
But exactly. So I thought,
And then you made noises.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's start.
Okay. The PTR stealth changes.
So basically, there have been loads of changes on the PTR that haven't been listed in any patch notes. So there's a whole bunch of little things like maps. So D.Va can contest the point properly on places like Nepal and Ilios when kind of flying downwards. Previously there was a bug where if you were angled downwards and flying on the point, you wouldn't be considered contesting it, which is really interesting. It's bizarre that it's
why
like that.
Why did that happen like that?
I assume that what they're doing is they're using the origin point to decide whether you're on the point or not. And so when you're angled downwards, for some reason your origin point was slightly below the point and therefore not contesting.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, maybe.
That's my guess.
Sounds good.
It sounds plausible, and that's all I got. They made some changes to, Ilios, the one with the ruins and the, where it's got all the columns.
Yes, which has had loads of issues with not being perfectly reflected.
Yeah, so they've changed some of the stones so that, where you can't jump on it on one side, you can't jump on it the other side either.
Yeah. Okay, so they're just kind of bringing it into line.
And they've changed loads of bushes and stuff all over the place for people on low settings, so it's more consistent with people on high settings, which makes a lot of sense. Especially for Ilios, where there were places where the Widowmaker could literally just stand in trees.
Yes.
And if you had high quality settings, you couldn't see her.
Yeah, I hate the idea of being punished for wanting my game to look pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that to happen.
Yeah. There's that. There were some visual effects changes. So Tracer's Pulse Bomb, McCree's Ultimate, and Genji's Ultimate have all had, the visual effects changed.
Presumably less, unicorn explosion.
So Tracer's Bomb has actually been made slightly more transparent. With the little flashes that go around it. I assume it was blocking too much view in some people's eyes. McCree has been made brighter, and you get this sort of red mist across him.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting.
Presumably to make it a bit more obvious that he's...
Yeah, so you kind of
ulting.
Yeah. Just so you can see him more easily, I think. And it also does look nicer. It looks a little bit more refined. And Genji's effect is just, slightly brighter. So he's got a larger particle effect. So
some people complain a lot about PTR changes that aren't listed as PTR changes. And I would argue this is okay and there's a reason. And that is because if you're a developer, then if you are recording everything you do, it takes twice as much time than just doing stuff. So I wonder, would the cost of having accurate show notes be that we don't get stuff fixed as fast?
Maybe.
I suspect it would be, but
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah. It'd be a real pain for the developers. I can kind of see why people want it, though. What was the other thing?
Because game-changing stuff is huge, and then to just change it without you knowing is an issue. So, I mean, there's a balance here.
Yeah, there were a couple of other things. Oh, Oasis's soundtrack has been given an orchestra.
Oh, yeah, it goes big now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's really nice. It's really good.
It makes me sad. Again, this is like the whole thing about I really feel bad for being punished for having like my settings on high. Like I have all the music turned down loads because it gets in the way of in-game noises when you're trying to, win points and such. Mm-hmm. And I feel really sad of that because stuff like intros, I really like that stuff. It sets an atmosphere and such.
Yep, I'm totally with you. The other minor change which I kind of want to point out is Widowmaker's grappling animation has been altered. So she used to just sort of like Spider-Man her arm out and then you'd kind of zip to wherever you were pointing. Now she sort of grabs the rope a little bit. It looks really nice and it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Because she's just sort of grabbing a rope which is kind of being pulled into this wrist thing, so she'd just get rope burn. But it looks nice. Yeah. So there's that.
There's a lot in this game that doesn't make sense. Should we just go with it?
I'm totally down for going with it.
Like the backwards belt buckles. What is that about?
I have no idea.
We need to make a video on that someday.
We do. But the big change is they've reduced Doomfist's rocket punch hitbox.
Yes. Is it the hitbox or is it the hurt box?
It's a box. And it's been changed.
It's a box around all of Doomfist. So maybe it is his hitbox. Punch box, sure.
Collision box for his right click?
Yeah. You have to actually hit people to hit people now. Yeah. As opposed to be vaguely near them.
Yeah, it was feeling pretty bad. A lot of the time you could kind of hit people round corners and when you were actually over them and kind of miss them and still hit them. So I'm so down with this change.
Basically, to use the old Hansa analogy, Doomfist turned into a log.
Yes. Yes.
Which is tenuous, but
I'm
going with it.
Logfist or Doomlog?
I don't even.
Yeah. But anyway, that's been changed and 2 thumbs up from me. I still think they're going to need to do more.
What? More nerfing of Doomfist you think is too powerful?
I think what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to reduce the distance which you can fling people back by or create a slightly different interaction, because there are times where you're just stood relatively far away from a wall and you get hit. You feel like you're kind of in the middle of a relatively large area and you just get flung back and like, did I really hit the wall? And you see yourself hit the wall and you're just like, I guess, but I felt like I was trying to play around that, kind of position myself in a way that's awkward for them to hit me.
It's something that Scott Mercer kind of mentioned in the thing, is that they're very much along the lines of they think that people haven't fully worked out how to counter Doomfist yet.
This wouldn't surprise me.
Here's this thing, right? Like, when you put in a new character, at first people work out how to use the character, and then people work out how to counter the character. Like, you can't counter something that hasn't been worked out yet. So there's that kind of evolution there, right? It
is very true. I'll be interested to see kind of what people work out, but I'm still in that stage, just like, stop hitting me.
I've been watching what are they called? I think it's Ace of Clubs or something. He's a kind of top 500 like Reinhardt main, and he reckons Reinhardt has some really good counters to Doomfist.
Huh?
And it turns out Reinhardt kind of does. Like, if Doomfist ults near Reinhardt kills Doomfist.
Oh yeah, because you just put up your shield and then you charge him, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, this guy just splatters Doomfist left and right and centre. It's ridiculous. And also, like, if you get your kind of counter charging together, then you can knock both of you down. And normally, if the Doomfist is diving into where the Rhine is, which should be with the rest of his team, then that actually kind of works out all right for the Rhine. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff going on there.
I'll be interested to see if that works.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Also, a meta with Hog back in it, which, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If Roadhog kind of makes a big return, I think he'll punish Doomfist pretty hard.
I really think this is going to make Hog super viable again.
I assume you're talking about the changes, not Doomfist.
Yeah, the PTR stuff. Just because, like, Hog's actually surprisingly viable right now. Like, again, like watching some like top level ladder play, there's a couple of hogs out there who just hit all the hooks and are a nightmare to play against. And once hog becomes utterly unkillable, yeah.
It'll be interesting.
We will see.
We will see. Let's introduce Junkertown.
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so Junkertown is a new escort map, which has been previewed at Gamescom.
Yep.
Which is in Germany?
Yes, I believe so. And it's big. Like, I didn't realize how big Gamescom was.
It's a big deal, right?
Like, they get like multiple hundreds of thousands of people.
Crikey, that's a couple of people. Where do they all come
it's
from?
more than a couple. Like, I guess Europe.
Yeah, fair enough.
And America too, some of them actually.
Fair enough.
People come from all over the shop. So yeah, again, getting to the Seagull and Scott Mercer thing, that is entirely played over footage of Seagull playing on Junkertown. And it looks like a really different, interesting map.
Oh yeah, it's a lot more open.
Yes.
From what I can see.
The first bit is really open and looks like something out of Team Fortress 2 with the whole kind of desert aesthetic. Like, and that's where they pick up the cart. Then the second bit is kind of this weird little streets phase that actually really reminds me of Brink, if you remember that game.
Never played it.
Okay. And then the last part of the phase is fascinating. You have to push the cart around this U-bend, and there's like a big propeller circling above the U-bend you can stand on, and there's this bit that goes under to kind of like a flank route along the U-bend. It's kind of crazy.
It sounds really interesting. I had a quick look. It looks really good. It looks like a solid map, just kind of eyeballing it. And it's interesting because I wouldn't have said that about any of the other maps. Like, eyeballing them, a lot of them was like, not so sure about this, that, and the other. But
there's a lot more flanks in this one.
Yes. It looks...
Like, you can see a lot of that.
The first bit, to me, really recognisably looked like a TF2 map. Like, if that was a map in TF2...
It looked like the red base.
Yeah. It just looked like a map that somehow I knew. You know?
Yes.
So that was kind of interesting. And there was also there was a preview vid on the Overwatch channel, and then there was a short vid.
Yes. Right, okay, so with the preview vid of Junkertown, right, the Queen of Junkertown, that's Tina Turner, right?
Do you mean Tina Turner?
Yes, definitely. Tina Turner. Well, I mean, the voice actor isn't Tina Turner. But, right, okay, here's the reference. The Queen of Junkertown, they are referring to Tina Turner's character out of the third Mad Max film.
Oh, I haven't seen...
Welcome to Thunderdome? Is it Welcome to Thunderdome?
Oh, I do
Something
know.
about
I've heard about Thunderdome, but I've not actually seen the third Mad Max film.
Say what?
I know.
Okay, right, Grey, you can't talk about Junkertown without knowing where Junkertown has come from.
I saw the new Mad Max.
That's good. But why haven't you seen, like, the originals?
Because I haven't.
Okay. I'm going to brace you. The third one is actually a very bad film, but you should still watch it.
Okay. I will watch a bad film if it's worth watching.
Yes. Other facts about Junkertown. There is somewhat of a minor hoo-ha amongst Australians that they have a... like an advert saying takeout for like a fast food thing, and they're like, it's called takeaway here. Yeah. And same in Britain. No one really says takeout. That's just not a thing. It's takeaway.
Because you take the food away. You don't eat it out.
Well, I mean, eventually you take it out of its packaging, but that's only once you've got home. Yeah. So should it really be called takeout? Because like you also take out your food from the oven if you cook it at home.
It's true.
So you take out like take away food. You don't take away. I mean, you see what I'm saying.
And not only that, but also you kind of take it in because you take it into your home. It's just bad. You take it away. You absolutely take it away. Yeah, you go somewhere, you get the food, and you take it away. Although delivery takeaway food doesn't make much sense, does it? No, that's not takeaway though, is it? Because you don't take it away; they bring it to you. That's bring it to you food. Yeah, maybe that's a new category. Yeah. Anyway, I feel we're getting away from things slightly here. Yes. So there was also a really short video, which is just Roadhog and Junkrat kind of stood outside Junkertown trying to get back in. I'm not going to say
And
anymore.
it's kind of cool.
It is. It was done with, I think, in-game stuff rather than the whole Blender thing.
There's a lot of assets going on there, but... Well, I mean, what I mean is there's a load of new assets. Like, there's a load of, like, animations and stuff that are happening that are completely new. But they also use a load of in-game stuff already. So it feels a little more lo-fi than previous productions. This is not like a big, grandiose Overwatch short. It's more like a little animated skit.
Yes, that is
And
exactly
if you
what
look
it
at it
is.
in that light, it's really, really good.
Exactly. It felt like an SFM short in some ways.
Yes, very much so. It felt to me like a cross between an SFM short and possibly a Roadrunner cartoon.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I see what you mean. I also like the Cowboy Bebop intro. That was really nice. It was really well done. Yeah, just enjoyed the entire thing, actually. It was just kind of dumb, but
yes,
in a sort of, it knew it.
I'd really be up for more than this, because it's really clear that they didn't spend as long as on this one as they did on, say, The Last Bastion.
Yes, absolutely. Because, Last Bastion, beautiful in a lot of places and kind of very scenic and, told this kind of developing story. This is just a cute short skit, and it told us it didn't tell us anything new about the characters, but it really kind of just it kind of took these two characters and just played out a scenario with them so you could enjoy the characters. It
really reinforces who they are and their kind of relationship, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I really like that we have Timon and Pumbaa in Overwatch.
Yeah, exactly. They're just wonderful.
Okay, cool. Yep. Shall we talk about forum guff?
Sure, let's do it. The D.Va changes.
Oh, yes.
This is big.
I'm so down for this discussion. I'm looking forward to this discussion. So, Jeff Goodman posted on the forums about some D.Va changes that they were testing internally. They are testing internally. Do you want to go through them, or do you want me to do them?
You do.
Okay, cool. So, first of all, defense matrix. Energy drain has been doubled. So this means you get 2 seconds.
50% uptime.
Yes. 50% uptime, but the same amount of time to fully recharge it. So, so it's one of those things that they really have just half the amount of uptime you have. Yeah, so it's much less of a spammable thing, and it's got to be using it at the right moment. I'm so down for this because I'm down for those really clutch saves. Yes, it's more of a skill thing, right? Absolutely. Having a good deflect feels really good as a Genji. If you can have a really solid D.Va eat rather than just holding right click over someone as they walk forwards, I think that's a really good thing. Boosters. D.Va can now use her fusion cannons while flying. This makes so much sense. Great. Agreed. It's going to feel really good. It's going to make her so dangerous as well. Much more aggressive, yes. Yeah, because if you boop someone, that's 50 damage, and you're kind of shooting in their face, that's going to be a whole load of damage as you're kind of pushing them and shooting them at the same time. It's going to make it's going to be very frenetic and hard to aim at the same time, though. Probably, yeah. It'll be really interesting to see kind of how it works out. I just think that alone is such a huge buff to D.Va's damage output. Yeah, because the whole thing about fusion cannons is you're really slow, so you can't actually get in super close on someone and hose them. But with this, you jump in on someone, you start shooting, and then once they start running away, where normally your damage tails off, you just keep shooting and then boost towards them. This is going to kill a lot of people. Yeah, I'm wondering how it's going to kind of work out with booster cancelling, because I use the shoot to cancel the boost a lot of the time. Just tap it. Oh, okay. And so now, if you want to stop dead in front of someone, how are you going to do that? I'm trying to think of, are there other buttons that cancel the boost? Yeah, you can melee, but that doesn't feel great because it's not that much damage. Just as a pure mechanic, I'd say press jump and stop boosting. Does jump stop you from boosting? I don't know if it does now, but I don't think it does. But I mean, just as a thing that, why not? Yeah, that'd make a lot of sense to me. Yeah, I'm down with that. Yeah. And they've added a new ability for D.Va as well. Micro missiles. Yes. D.Va launches a long salvo of small missiles that explode on impact, dealing damage in a small radius around them. This ability can be used alongside her other abilities or whilst firing her fusion cannons. So you can defense matrix and cannon and
that's
missile.
A crazy burst of damage.
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued to see how this plays out. Jumping forward to the Scott Mercer thing, one of the things they said about this was they were talking about not just balancing for gameplay, but also balancing for character identity. And one of the things they said was that having D.Va in a mech and the mech not firing rockets seemed really dumb to them.
I think that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, exactly. Mechs should shoot rockets. Boom.
Yeah. It's totally in the whole Gundam Ray, I'm in a giant mech, clearly it should fire rockets thing.
Yeah. I mean, it seems, what were they thinking beforehand? I don't know.
Not a clue. But anyway, this makes it a much more aggressive tank. It's gonna make her even more divey than she is now. I am a little worried.
It's gonna change how she's divey.
Well, no,
because part of what makes dive so strong at the moment is Winston goes in, D.Va follows up, and then cancels anything trying to hit the Winston, and the Winston's uncontested, right?
Yes, but at the same time, it's going to make... What I'm wondering is it going to make it just even more hell for support? Because right now, playing support can be a little bit punishing, because if you get dived, your ability to survive is really quite low.
An idea I'd put forward to you, and you should be happy about this. This is a massive Ana buff.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because
she won't
her
be
healing
eating...
is no longer just going to be getting disappeared by the D.Va, right?
Depends on how much Winston is being played and how much people focus on bursting the Winston bubble.
Yeah, but you know.
But yeah, no, it is a good Ana buff. It will make Ana more viable. I'm just wondering if Ana will just die at the same time
by a D.Va. Well, I mean, if you can get your sleep off.
No, I'm thinking like D.Va plus Monkey, just diving. Just imagine those two hitting supports at all. They're just going to die so fast. I'm just worried that this is going to be a meta where nobody wants to play support because your ability to be protected as a support is really, really low.
Maybe. Don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, we will have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, but also all of this is kind of forgetting the fact that Roadhog may be more viable, and Roadhog is actually really quite good at protecting supports because of the ability to just kind of pull someone off the support and kind of punish them hard.
He kind of stays in with the death ball as well now. He's like, I mean, he can still go flanking, but I think he's much more of a death ball brawler now with his new changes.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the D.Va changes, and I'm looking forward to them. They sound really good.
All of the PTR stuff at the minute I am very keen for.
Absolutely.
Oh, can't wait for it to go into the game. Next forum thing, in fact, the only other forum thing is a little bit silly. Okay, right. Grey, that word. How would you pronounce it?
What, Samph?
No. Right, okay, hit the link. Okay, so, right, Samph on the Summer McCree skin. People were asking what does the S stand for? And Michael Chu says it is. Go for it, Grey.
Oh, I think most people would say sarsaparilla, but I would say sarsaparilla.
Okay, you know how to pronounce it. Because this word bugs me, right? It like sarsaparilla. It's sarsaparilla is how it should be pronounced by looking at it, right?
Yes.
Oh, English language. Why? But
yeah.
Yeah, so straight from the lead writer, it is sarsaparilla ass motherfucker.
What does that mean?
I think he might be lying.
Oh,
but I mean that's canon now, so we can roll with it.
Fair enough.
Excellent. Glad we cleared that up. So next item on the itinerary, we have covered when the short is coming out. It's coming out tomorrow. Although you listening to this, it won't be tomorrow. It would have been earlier. Don't worry about it.
I hope you enjoyed it. I'm guessing it's either going to show how they got kicked out of Junkertown or how they actually kind of managed to get back into Junkertown. Or my third option.
It's going to be about Junkrat and Hog.
It's widely suspected. I don't think I think with the release of Junkertown, everyone's going to want to know about Junkertown. And I think that building out, it's a part of the world that they haven't explored.
I find it odd if they're going to bring out 2 shorts with very different tones, i.e. the Roadhog and Juntrat skit one.
Well, what
and
if it's
a proper
actually
full, fully fleshed out short for them at the same time? I'm gonna go maybe on a long shot here and say I don't think it's going to be Junkertown related.
That will be interesting. Maybe it could be to do with the apocalypse beforehand, where Australia gets all nuked and turned into this desert wasteland.
Yeah, maybe. I could be entirely wrong here. It just feels a bit weird if they bring out the whole short show we've just had. You see what I'm saying?
I can kind of see what you mean. What you mean. Well, unless it's sort of this weird pre-intro thing where there's this whole big thing, but there's this little bit of background knowledge that if you have kind of adds to the bigger thing.
So it's all going to be stuff in Junkertown with them there, and maybe
because there's always been this thing for me where one of the things I really dislike about trailers is they show stuff that's in the movie. What I always liked as an idea for trailers is if they
the build up to it.
Yeah, is if they show things that don't happen in the movie and they're building up the movie. They're building to the movie in a way that they're showing stuff that isn't on camera.
Here's a bit of baseless speculation.
Go on.
A while back, didn't we hear that a May short was coming?
We might have done. It's not impossible. I don't remember.
If it is a May short after all this, I'm going to feel so smug. So smug. You better hope it's not a May short, because I'm going to be difficult for a while. You'll just be getting massive amounts if I told you so.
Okay, I look forward to this. I look forward to your smugness or
well, no, because here's the thing. I know that I'm going for a long shot here. I'm in a no-loss situation. If I'm right, huge win. If I'm wrong, well, that's just what everyone expected anyway.
I'll be honest. I'm going to go short either way. I don't care. I'm looking forward to it whatever way.
Fair. Makes a lot of sense.
Awesome. Shall we talk about Mercy?
Or shall we talk about Mercer?
Yeah.
Because it's Mercer who talks about Mercy.
I see what you did there. Yeah.
You Mercy what I did. Let it stop. Okay, so in the kind of pre-Gamescom, they had Seagull streaming from inside Gamescom before it was open to the public, and Scott Mercer joined him, and Scott Mercer just took a lot of questions.
He really did, apparently.
It's about 2 hours of stuff.
That is
I watched it earlier today. It was a bit of a slog getting through all of it, but it was good content.
So,
yes.
Where do we start? Do we start with the Mercy changes?
Sure, let's start with the Mercy changes.
I mean, we're not actually really able to say much, except that Scott Mercer said that they're aware of the frustrations of that people are having with Mercy at the moment, where she's very much built around her res, and they've got some really cool changes coming for Mercy.
Right, that's not exactly what he said.
Okay, go on.
What he exactly said was, and this is a direct quote, "We have some very interesting and sweet changes."
Is that all?
Yep.
Doesn't actually say anything about Mercy, does it?
No, this is directly about Mercy.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, obviously, sweet changes happening anyway, but that's what he said specifically about Mercy.
But the context...
And Siegel was very happy about it.
But the context was with talking about, the frustrations that people were having about Mercy, right?
Yeah. It's the whole res issue that she's super built around that, and yeah, that is the problem, essentially.
Yeah. I can't see how they would change her without somehow changing her res as well.
They're right. Blizzard are doing a lot of... I mean, they're not scared to do pretty drastic changes, and I think that's good.
I agree. Okay.
And it's like the Hog changes. I think they were necessary.
And we're just sort of working through a difficult patch for Hog now, and Hog's going to come out the other side a new and better person.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I think Hog as being this damage absorption tank, I think if you like actually look at the Hog model and what he looks like, that kind of makes sense, right? He's this like
He's a
massive
proper bruiser
behemoth who looks like he should be able to like take all this damage. Like he doesn't look like a one-shotty snipery character to me at any rate.
I'm down with that.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so I've got a load of notes here. I'm just going to go through them and pick up points on them. So one thing that I thought early on, which was very interesting, was talking about design philosophies.
Go on.
And, okay, this is quite an interesting one. It's the idea that in Overwatch, they want every character to be OP and thus balanced.
I'm kind of down with that. It makes a lot of sense because there are other games that I've played where the time to kill is really quite... having characters that are overpowered makes you feel powerful. Does that make sense?
You get to play them and you get to do amazing things and be like, oh my God, I was a badass there.
Exactly.
The trick is having it so that your characters get to take turns.
Yes.
And it means that, like, you know, you can have like super overpowered attacking characters as long as you have super overpowered healing characters as well. And, you know, balance and such like.
Which is why we can kind of have Anna and we can have Mercy and so on and so forth.
Yeah. And so Scott was talking about how characters are balanced and how long it takes. And it can be like, they can be from 2 weeks. And some characters, they just put in a change like in just one day. And as soon as they see that change, they're like, okay, this needs tweaking in some way, but it feels really right. And in specific to this one, again, he talked about the D.Va mech needing rockets. They were like, yeah, let's have rockets. That's so fucking cool. But the same thing with, talk specifically about Junkrat being immune to his explosions. Like, as soon as they put that in, they're like, yeah, of course Junkrat shouldn't have to worry about explosions. Explosions should be happening all around Junkrat, and he should not give a damn. And this made them, like, you know, turn off his self-damage from explosions. And also this kind of transfers to the extra concussion mine.
Makes a lot of sense.
So, and, like, Scott's kind of philosophy of this was very much like, well, 2 mines, we thought we'd try it. And that's cool, we're going to go with it. And, you know, maybe they'll change some numbers later, but changing numbers is easy. Like, just changing how much damage something does or whatever, it's very much of a muchness.
Absolutely. I fully expect that they're going to end up changing the damage on the concussion mine, because otherwise he just flings out 240 damage every few seconds.
Well, I mean, so it should be said that the mines still take as long to regenerate individually. Wait, I'm not entirely sure on the timing of that, but say Junkrat's used both his mines, he gets a timer going back to having 1 mine and then a timer going back to having 2 mines.
So it's kind of the same as, oh, so it's, huh?
You don't get both mines back after 1 tick of his mine timer. You get 1 mine back after 1 tick of his mine timer.
Are they not on separate timers then? Or,
no.
Okay, so they're both on 1 cooldown. Okay. I'll just have to see how it plays.
Yeah, we'll get to it once it's actually in the PTR and we can look at it better. Other things, hero release cycle. They're talking about the hero release cycle. They're kind of happy with it as it is, like in how many heroes are coming out. They did say they are aware of the kind of outcry for another healer. And although he didn't commit to it, it sounded like they were on it.
I'd be amazed if they didn't have a couple of healers in the works. You know?
I think they need more healers. In fact, it's something they talked about later is about reducing the kind of saltiness. And they're also talking about, oh God, where is it? I've just got this page of scrawlings. Role selection in map making is an idea that they touched upon. And they're trying to do it in a behind the scenes way as opposed to just picking, I will play a tank this round, because not changing doesn't feel good.
I'd also say that not changing, not being, I assume, does that mean you wouldn't be able to take off the tank role? Is that what they're saying?
No. What they're saying is that's something they're avoiding.
Well, yeah, but as in that's what they're trying to avoid. Yeah.
Yeah. They're not going to, it sounds very unlikely that they're going to have like, you have picked tank, you must now be tank for this game.
Yeah, because one of the problems that creates is it means that you can't create a dynamic team.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just no one wants that. And also, one thing they mentioned in regards to this is you have your slightly hybrid characters in this game. Like Sombra kind of fits in the slot of a healer in the way she's being used in competitive rollouts, right? But if she was picked as a DPS, that's really awkward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and a big part of that is they're trying to kind of they're trying to like make healers and tanks more appealing.
Yes.
Because if people are playing characters they want to play, then they will have more fun playing and people won't feel as salty.
Yeah, I mean, I still struggle in that there are no tanks that I really enjoy, and there's only one healer that I particularly enjoy. And so, yeah, it'd be nice to kind of have another healer that I enjoy and another tank that I enjoy, so that if my tank or healer is taken, then
you have other options.
Yeah.
Okay, what else have we got? There was a bit I mentioned earlier about Doomfist. Like, they're not too worried about Doomfist just yet. They're waiting for people to have a bit of time to work out how to play around him.
Cool.
What else have we got? Oh, he had a lovely way for describing Roadhog after his recent buff, and that is sneaky strong.
Okay, yeah, I can kind of see that as a description.
Like, in the idea that I don't think... I mean, on a kind of forum post a while back, I think it was Scott Mercer who said that the current hog buffs they were trying might be too strong. And I'm kind of with this. Like, from playing a lot of the deathmatch, like, hog is amazing. Like, you can one-on-one everyone.
Yes.
Like, there is not a single character that you can't one-on-one as hog with this healing buff.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot to say, right?
It is. No, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of creates an odd dynamic. I mean, even Reaper?
Yeah, with the healing.
Oh, wow.
If you get your hook off, like, you fight Reaper at mid-range. If he comes in, you kind of like end up hooking him, shooting him, and then doing the hit with the combo. And then you start healing and he won't be able to kill you. You'll get to at least half health, and it's maybe an even fight from there.
That's interesting.
Now I'm wondering, how many Reapers did I face? Because maybe Reaper gets dunked on by other characters. So in the environment of your deathmatch, Reapers are massively like put down.
It'll be interesting to see how it all works out, but I'm kind of willing to give it a go before I complain.
Yes. Okay, Scott Mercer's favourite character is Zenyatta, but he plays an awful lot of healers.
Cool.
They had an interesting conversation about mending exploits. Stuff like the Genji jump. Like, you remember how Genji used to be able to jump and just hit corners of stuff and launch?
Yes.
Okay, so talking about exploits like that and how they take them on a case-by-case basis. They don't just say, if there's an exploit in the game, we fix it. Because stuff like, say, Pharah using the boost with a rocket jump to get an even bigger boost, they're like, that feels right.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's very much like, does it break the game, essentially?
Fair enough. Cool.
Talking about having a ranked solo queue, they're very hesitant just to put in a solo queue that just is for only solo players, just because it creates a load of issues. They talked a long time about the balance between putting things in that will make the game better while increasing the wait time, and how like that is a big issue.
Anyway, so do they think that solo queue would massively increase? Oh, for anyone who's not in solo queue.
Yeah, exactly. Because if all the solo players are saying, I only want to do solo queue, where does that leave duos?
Yeah.
Where does that leave 3 stacks?
And what does it do if you've got, like... Yeah, it makes things really awkward. What if you got a 5-stack? You literally couldn't queue as a 5-stack. Unless
you found someone who was solo queuing, not in the specifically solo queue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's an issue. In fact, do you remember a while back there was this group of Brazilians who were only ever playing at stupid hours to game the system so that they'd only play people who were much worse than them and get to dunk on them?
Yeah.
Okay, so Blizzard are aware of that, And what they've been doing recently is at odd hours when you can't find like a good match, or in fact at any hours when you can't find a match within a certain SR, they've been slowly creeping up how much they will make people wait for a good match. And sometimes they'll just say, if we can't find a good enough match, the queue just stops. And they say, you're going to have to re-queue.
That is interesting. It makes a lot of sense. Because, like, I mean, especially for competitive, you need to have a good match. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, entirely. It's just a salt machine, if not. Another thing they got onto was, is the whole one-tricking thing true? The idea, like, of if you one-trick an off-meta hero like Sombra, because you're better than all the other Sombras, you get a massive boost to your SR, which, rockets you up the rankings without actually winning that many games.
Yeah.
And he says that's a little bit true, but massively not as much as people think it is. And they are going to be, I mean, one thing he keeps saying is he can't talk about next competitive season, but they are looking at adjusting how the old one-tricking thing will work.
That's interesting. I wonder,
Yep.
I'd love to have an analysis from their perspective afterwards to say, here's how it was affecting things. We've fixed this now, but this is...
Here's how we hope it'll be going forward.
Yeah, because what I'm interested in is, what is it about playing just one hero that makes you go up faster?
Well, I mean, in truth, it's probably just being better at that hero.
But in that case, is it a problem?
Well, I mean, it is if, like, you have, like, one particular hero who's rocketing to the top of the stats, like how some people are claiming is happening with the Mercy thing.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But
Maybe.
So my thought at the moment is I'm beginning to come around to the idea that you should just have a set amount of win versus loss once you get past a certain stage.
I like the idea of a tapering thing. Like, in lower ranks, there's a lot to be said for each individual's performance. But as you get to higher ranks, it's just... does your team win? Does your team lose?
Yeah, I mean, the reason I've come to this conclusion is if there are people who are able to climb whilst overall losing more than they're winning, then they're not helping their team win the game. And if they're not helping their team win the game, then they shouldn't be climbing.
Yeah,
and
entirely.
And
also,
simple.
it's a very dangerous situation. If you take a massive block of like data, as they do, and they look in that data for what are the stats which show that a Winston is doing well and winning, it means that if you have someone who's like developing a new and slightly goofy Winston tactic that is really good for winning games but doesn't show up in the stats in the same way that regular Winstons do, then that Winston is going to be punished and they're going to be at a much lower ranking.
So I'm going to talk about the Overwatch thing that we talked about earlier that I showed you.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is exactly what that thing does. It looks at stats and it tries to figure out where your SR should be. And it was so off for one of my accounts. So far off. Like, it placed me in low gold when I've been to Masters with that account.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things, if I think that it, and I think the reason I got higher is because I tend to play with a team and I try to play off the team, and that I have a very team-oriented way of playing, and
it's very hard to quantify that.
Yeah, and like it's also like, not what most Genjis do.
Well, there's loads of data as well that it is hard to process. Like, I think an interesting one would be just proximity data for how close you are to the rest of your team. Like, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, just this whole idea that, like, if you do that, it means that there's going to be an average of what good people do. And if you're outside that average of what good people do by doing a weird tactic or whatever, that might be super effective. But if it doesn't show up in the stats, then yeah. And in fact, here's one thing I really, really hate about SR in general and the way that it's like, okay, so a great example of this is we're defending Anubis. Right, second point of Anubis, and I think this match was yesterday, and we're doing well. Like our team is beating them back, and like we're doing a kind of dive defense, and we're consistently killing them. Now, some of our players go forwards to try and kill them even harder. I stay back and do nothing for a while. Now, I could go forward and chase damage and do the things that I'm sure a good Winston does, because on the stats, a good Winston does not sit in a certain perch, just watching the rest of his team, making sure that they're okay and waiting to dive in if they're needed, but not doing so because they're far forwards. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, I got very little SR for that match, even though I did some really crucial plays. And like times when our teammates died going forwards too far, I didn't die too. It meant we had enough people back that we could hold a defense until they respawned. So, yeah, how does that show up in like the SR rankings and stats?
Absolutely. I've had some games where I've felt like I've done the right thing for a lot of it by playing safe and solid rather than chasing kills, and gone very low SR gains for those games. Whereas there have been some games where I was kind of dumb and I overchased and I died for overchasing, and it could have been really bad for our team, but we ended up winning because the rest of my team were kind of like...
I mean, right, this is a complete side, but this is one of my like things I really, really hate. It's when people, like, say someone who isn't a DPS in your team says, "Oh, God, guys, I've got gold damage. What are you all doing?" Or like someone uses gold damage as a reason to say they're doing well.
Yes.
Let me explain one way you get gold damage. If you keep fighting when you should be pulling back and waiting for your team to regroup, then if your team is good, they will have to wait, not doing damage, while you're doing damage on your own. They have to wait for you to die while not doing damage. Then you respawn, you go in as a team, and the person who's like just filtering in gets to do an equal amount of damage as the rest of the team again. But then they get to do more damage every time they're staying in fights when they should be getting out or not. Or if they just keep going in without waiting for the team to group, they're doing more damage because they're doing more damage and taking more damage. And it's actively terrible for the team, but it looks good on the stats. Ugh.
Exactly.
Yeah. I feel all dirty now. Let me cleanse myself in the shower of Scott Mercer and Seagull. That sounded a bit odd, didn't it?
I don't want to talk about those two showering you.
Yep. Stats-wise, then again, not really planning on giving more stats in games, but they're planning on giving much more stats to commentators.
Makes sense.
Yep.
It's one of those things that I think is argued about a lot, and my argument for less stats is really simply, actually, I'd like my own stats after a game. Like, I'd like to be able to look at my own stats kind of in an in-depth way, and I don't know whether I'd be really good at, I'd be any good at interpreting those stats, but I'd like to have them in case there's something that I can look for. But other people's stats, it's so difficult to make good judgments off those stats.
Yeah. And next thing, you're really going to like this.
Oh, go on.
They're looking at SR decay.
Oh, good. What are they doing?
Again, because it's a next season thing, they couldn't talk about it. Scott Mercer is very much aware that the I have to play thing isn't good for people enjoying the game. They want people to be playing the game because they want to be playing the game, not because they feel they have to. So, yes, they're very aware of it. It does serve an important function, though, having said that. So there will be some short-term changes coming soon, and there might be some longer-term changes happening in the longer term. So I think what that means is for next season, there will be something changing about it, and then they'll be continuing to look at it for after that.
I mean, even things like just being able to say that I'm going on a break for a few days may be good for the game. Like,
yes, if you could just say, look, if you had like, if you could build up pauses. Although, I mean, here's the problem though. Again, if you could do that, people would use that to level multiple accounts. Whatever you give people in this, they will use to level multiple accounts.
Is multiple accounts a bad thing? I'm really not. I don't think that's a problem. The big problem that needs to be addressed.
I think Smurfs are awkward. They are an issue.
So let's talk a little bit about something else that we've talked about outside of this, which is if I decided today, you know what, Tracer's a really strong hero. A lot of top 500 play Tracer. I'd like to get better at Tracer because I think it'll help me climb. But I don't actually play any Tracer. And I could go in quick play and I could learn a bit of Tracer. But if I go into comp, nobody
it's the
wants
whole
me
thing again. Yeah, exactly. People get freaked out about it.
Because I have no time in comp on Tracer. How do I learn to play Tracer? A good way to do that would be on a Smurf.
Right. But, I mean, there's a load of problems with Smurfs that it kind of, for people ranking their Smurfs up, it's really bad for everyone they play with. So if we have a constant slew of people wanting to try different heroes, moving Smurfs through different ranks, it does just trash those lower ranks. And we don't see that much of that because we're quite high up in the rankings. But lower down, that's awful.
Mm.
Like, you're creating, if you have like everyone, say, in Masters Plus making multiple accounts to do that leveling up, and all the lower level games are just getting trashed by these people just turn up who are clearly way above those ranks, and you know, even if they kind of get their, you know, SR sorted out pretty quickly, that's still horrible, right?
Well, I do agree, like, for those periods of time it is horrible.
Also, selling accounts, that's a real big thing.
That is a really bad thing.
Because you get people just being boosted. Like, if we don't have decay, then boosting is going to be a massive problem again. Like, I don't know if you remember what it was like before we had the really hard decay, but there was a lot of boosted accounts that were really obviously like they'd been boosted up to Grandmasters and they were just decaying their way down by losing every game. It was horrible.
Anyway, but that doesn't change boosting at all, because you could still pay for boosting and then just play all your games. Yeah,
you can still pay for boosting, but like if you say didn't have decay, it'd be much easier for someone to keep their main account while boosting a load of other accounts, keep them on the shelf when someone wants to buy them, etc., etc. I think the problem's a lot more complicated than we can just see. Like, there's a lot more angles on it that are a thing.
Okay, that's a fair analysis. I'm willing to concede there's a lot I don't know.
Replays. They're talking about having replays which are kind of full control replays where you can rewind it and not just see it from a player's perspective, but go around and stuff.
STV demos. I'm so glad. I knew that they were working on it, but it's just nice to hear, you know, that they're still putting time into it. They are still
working on it. Okay, what else? We talked about role selection. They're aware that objective markers covering enemies is a problem, but we don't know when they're going to get to it. They are open to the idea of competitive deathmatch, which is interesting.
Sure, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you know, in the same way that like we have competitive Lucia Ball. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, sure. I suppose so long as I'm not going to have to watch competitive deathmatch if I want to watch competitive Overwatch. Cool. No,
I don't think that. Someone asked about custom maps, and they're very keen to give more tools to the community, but it takes time. So, you know, wait on that one. And lastly, they talk about map rotation, and at some point, they're not ruling out the possibility that they will have map rotations for competitive.
Is that for all competitive or for tournament competitive?
Well, they already have it for tournaments. Like, they don't play all the maps, but they're saying that if they get, because they've got 16 maps now, if they get substantially more maps and it's becoming a problem, they might do that.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, we already actually have a fair amount of maps. We've got something like four Control, which is King of the Hill, then four
of each of them.
Yeah.
There's 16.
Oh, yeah, exactly 4 of each of them. Wow, there we go. So, yeah, like, it's a big pool, and I can kind of see. Though I'm worried if they do actually have map rotations for, like, seasons or something, then people are going to get bad at certain maps.
What I got from the answer, it was a very much wait and see. They're not ruling it out. I think Scott Mercer basically said words to the effect, if the map pool becomes too big, then I'm sure we'll feel it's too big and might do something about it.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, not so much sure of it. But we have gone on for a long episode here.
There was actually a lot of content to discuss. I mean, the Scott Mercer thing alone.
The Scott Mercer information dump was huge.
Yeah.
And the D.Va it's well worth watching if you've got like a spare 2 hours of your life. There's a lot in there.
Yeah, like if you need to cook dinner or something, just put it on the background, just, you know, shove your headphones in, shove your phone in your pocket, listen to them talking, because you don't need to see what's on screen. It's just...
Well, you get a good idea of the new map But I mean,
yeah, but
that's only going to be relevant for so long. You're going to be able to play the map pretty soon.
exactly. But I totally think it was probably worth having a listen.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Ooh, that was a big episode.
Yeah, turns out.
Well, let's not make it any bigger, faffing around with an overly verbose, sesquipedalian, obscurantist outro. Let's just actually just leave it with something really sharp and snappy.